Well, would you look at that? Season 2 of The Last of Us, now that it's adapting The Last of Us Part 2, is going the exact same way as the source material. It's so wild, right? Because this is the first time that I can possibly remember that everybody who is aware of the source material knows that The Last of Us is an adaptation of a video game, wants them to stray away from the source material as much as possible. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when, Joel ended up, he got the club. We seen the Joel in one. It played out just about beat for beat, timeline-wise, as the game did. In fact, some of the presentation aspects were even worse because Joel continued to keep his mouth shut. He didn't advocate for shit, and really, Abby also did some equally stupid stuff. But in the convening couple of weeks, the new episodes have come out. Bro, you could just see it right there. People are just as nonplussed with the show as they were with the game 5 years ago, because it went from being a must-watch show, right, universal acclaim, to now people don't really give a shit about it, okay? And that's a stark contrast over there on Metacritic. But on Rotten Tomatoes, okay, because this was a series, okay, that was just about 1 for 1 when it came to the critics, who still have it as a 95, mostly because, well, with whatever screeners they get, this is generally how the critics view this stuff and rate it. They just base their opinions on whatever they watched before, or whatever they think that they watched before. I mean, what did we just learn about the Oscar voters? They don't even watch the shit that they're voting on, so I wouldn't anticipate the access media being any different. Oh, we don't want to upset Big Daddy HBO, so we just love the show that's out there. Pedro Pascal is just, he does a great job as Joel, right? Whatever. Okay, just please don't, cut me off of access. And Bella Ramsey, one day she'll grow into her head, and, she'll just be a fantastic actress that, really can cry and wave a gun around, because that's what we've seen in the subsequent 2 episodes after the golfing incident. And bro, I mean, I think I think the audience rating speaks for itself. This is the one time that we can get something approximating an accurate assessment of the public on Rotten Tomatoes, because unlike when it comes to movie reviews, you don't need to verify your tickets. You can just simply be disgruntled and show up to Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic and go, this show just turned to ass real quick. Because like The Last of Us Part 2, it's a fucking misery simulator. Nobody likes that game. They might respect it for the artistic direction, but bro, it's just bleak, young adult adventure bullshit with just a copious amount of scissoring, and it's written by one of the most arrogant motherfuckers in the entire video game industry. What did you expect was going to happen? Warner Brothers must have just simply seen the honestly perplexing high ratings for the first season, greenlit it for, another season, and I think a 3rd season as well. I think a 3rd season has, been given the go-ahead. As for a 4th season, I kind of doubt it, because we can take a look at what the viewership numbers look like, and if it continues on this trajectory, it was so funny. They wanted to tout the 6% up from the series premiere a couple of years ago. That means that, more people are engaged with this, and then you kill off the one thing that was at least bringing people in on this. You yeet off Pedro Pascal. Oh, don't worry, guys, he'll be in flashbacks, because that's the way that the game goes. But at this point in time, nobody really cares. And if you're pointing that stuff out, well, this is the same way that happened 5 years ago. It's so funny. History tends to repeat itself, okay? History, it's just like poetry. It rhymes, because you got the critical drinker out here, okay? Somebody who I'm subscribed to, and I think that he has very good takes. He's one of the best, if not the go-to short-form reviewer that's out there. And he gives a very honest takes. And he's been following along week to week when it comes to The Last of Us. And his most recent video that dropped on Monday or something like that, I watched it, which is kind of odd. For whatever reason, I just clicked on it, mostly because I just kind of wanted to see. It's like, okay, cool. Are they going to be deviating even a little bit from the game? But no, it's just, as Drinker was pointing out, it's like, it's just a fucking sad story. A sad story with just a bunch of goofy shit that's in it. Bella Ramsey really cannot carry this season, even if you think that she did fine in a couple of different scenes. She's just not a leading lady for various face-related reasons and talent deficiencies. And without the whole Pedro Pascal factor, there's no real reason to tune into this show, okay? It's not a compelling story. It's not carrying over a bunch of the themes of the first season that made it so popular. This is just, it's bleak nihilism writ large with a couple of zombies in the background. That's about it. And so, on Tuesday, yeah, HBO took it upon themselves to block Drinker's video, which is weird, right? Like, it wasn't really like super performing any higher than any of his other reviews of the show. They were all getting over 1 million clicks, which is fantastic for him. Good work if you can get it. And after watching the video, it's like he didn't really do anything above and beyond when it comes to, skimming off the top, taking too much content, showing way too much copyrighted content. No, it was just same couple of lines that he would normally take from anything that he's reviewing, showing trailer footage in the background, and yeah, it's all cut up at different increments. It's very much transformative. But HBO, are you guys going to unblock my Last of Us video or continue to shamelessly abuse the YouTube copyright system like a bunch of pussies? Oof, because really, you're just proving how afraid you are of actual criticism. And yep, after seeing it go down and then finally getting his response is like, oh shit, okay. Because we got the statement, or rather the warning when he went to go click on the video, why The Last of Us is falling apart, video unavailable. This video contains content from Home Box Office, who has blocked it on copyright grounds. So is it a copyright claim, something that can escalate to, or is it going to be a copyright strike? Don't really know what that's going to be. If it was stricken down, I think that the video would get like, I've had strikes before on this channel, okay, about 13 of them, all wholesale. Talking about the coup and elections back in 2020 and 2021, that was a trying time, but I did it and I came out the other side better for it. But when it comes to copyright strikes, I've had a couple of claims from some old videos, which, BBC, whenever we're talking about Doctor Who, they're quite litigious when it comes to that shit, even if it's, completely and totally distorted, if it's a Twitter clip or if I'm talking over it, they don't really care about that. But yeah, for some reason, HBO, for properly assessing that this show is circling the drain, they decided to strike Drinker this time around. But hey, all's well that ends well, right? Because it's right back up there. Okay, you can go watch it at your heart's content. I'd recommend it. It was a pretty good breakdown of events. But yeah, the Drinker calls out HBO for abusing the YouTube copyright system after streaming company takes down his commentary on The Last of Us. YouTube's copyright system is a complete mess. Videos can get reported by anyone who claims to be the copyright owner, and YouTube will immediately demonetize a video and sometimes take it down. Yep, The Last of Us has been a hot button issue in culture recently. Not really, because I don't really see a bunch of people talk about it. I've said this before in a few different reviews, I think probably something around Andor or something like that. But yeah, whenever I was doing videos, recording, doing research or something like that, having Twitter pulled up, like for the first couple of episodes, you would see The Last of Us trend through Monday, and it's like, well, that's a pretty good sign that people are watching this show. But in the past couple of weeks, these past few Mondays, man, haven't really seen The Last of Us being talked about. But yes, with many influencers calling out its woke propaganda in the form of a lesbian relationship that's gone further over the top from its rampant identity politics, virtue signaling, which has turned off a lot of people from the show. But yeah, Ellie's gay, and they're very much driving this home in the previous 2 episodes, which it's so funny, right? And that's another reason that a lot of people are upset with this show, is because, oh cool, this was a whole, father-daughter relationship story at its core, right? Like, obviously it had a zombie outbreak and we're dealing with the post-apocalypse and how you build up a society after that. But now, I mean, Joel has very much been thrown to the side, and this has become the Ellie and Dina show, and oh boy, have they done that for the worst, because you end up getting nauseating shit like this. And this little conversation ends up happening, I think, after, bro, like, what are we doing out here? Okay, you got something that looks like an Easter Island head trying to finger one of the spider girls from Madam Web. Like, what the fuck are we doing out here? But no. It gets even dumber than this, and I honestly, like, I've watched this clip a couple of different times trying to find a different context, and I could be swayed either way. Either this is being presented as a joke, which I kind of hope it is, because I couldn't imagine anybody's really this dumb to earnestly present this statement, but it could also simply be Neil Cuckman just going head first into the message. I'll leave it up for you to decide.
So, we're having a baby.
All right, yeah, because this is a lesbian relationship, and she's been knocked up by an Asian guy. What's his name? Gene or something like that? Yeah, from the camp. Okay, so yeah, it's okay, in a post-apocalypse, you have a polyamorous relationship. That kind of makes sense, but the fact that so many people are homing in on just this very selfish way of life, because yeah, you've got to repopulate stuff. There's not going to be a lot of sympathy if you want to go out scissoring. It's like, okay, the raw reality of the post-apocalypse is, yeah, you're going to need to start pumping out some kids. Don't really care about your feelings. Sucks to suck, I guess. You can go live whatever way you want, but yeah, we got to get that fucking, baby maker spinning out some little fucking descendants. So, get on your back and, think of the queen. So at least one half of this lesbian relationship is, footing the bill.
I mean, we and also, I guess, Jesse or...
Jesse.
It was Jesse, right?
Oh, yes. Heaven forbid, after you guys are just, scissoring in the barn, you wouldn't want her to think of you as a loose woman of loose values, but you might not be able to see that, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and enhance on this one. Where the fuck do you get your hands on four fresh pregnancy tests 15 years or so after the apocalypse? How the fuck does that even work? Okay, that's something that I haven't seen pointed out enough, and it's like, yo man, this shit is so fucking dumb. No wonder so many people are tuning out of this. But anyways.
So we're all having a baby. Holy shit.
Okay, brace for impact on this one. So we're all having a baby. Yeah, okay, so Jesse is the one that provided the sperm. Dina's the one that, provided the incubator. And then you got, the little Mormont girl out here just thinking that she's going to be a part of something. Now, okay, if that is your interpretation of events, I guess things like this happen, okay, sometimes in certain families. Would you not think, okay, that you would have your father, okay, you'd have your father on one side of this equation, you would have your mother over there, and she's living an alternative lifestyle with her partner, and yeah, okay, so you would have your mom, and you would have your stepmom, right? That would be the way that this family would end up forming, right, when it's all said and done. But yeah, this is The Last of Us Season 2 with Neil Cuckman on the stick.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
I'm gonna be a dad. She actually said that, and like I said at the end, I don't really know. Looking at that reaction, okay, just trying to pull it up here appropriately. I don't know if she's like super happy about this, where, oh my god, my current fling is, accepting of whatever type of debaucherous nonsense I got up to. Okay, we're gonna find a way to make this work. Or if she thinks it's funny, like, I really do hope it's a joke, because I couldn't imagine that something this stupid would even pass by even a modern writer's room. But it's not passing this smell test of the audience, because viewership plummets after Joel's death in The Last of Us. Joel Miller, portrayed by Pedro Pascal, has been the beating heart of The Last of Us since Season 1's emotional debut. And Season 2 premiered on April 13th, 2025. Viewers expected more of Joel's protective journey across a ravaged America. Yeah, so were a lot of people, when The Last of Us Part 2 dropped in, oh my god, what was it, spring of 2020? But anyways, however, the shock came swiftly in episode 2, Through the Valley, which aired April 20th, where Joel ended up, getting Big Abby pumped. The chilling scene unfolded in a deserted lodge just outside the fortified walls of Jackson, Wyoming, and was staged nearly identically to its game counterpart, according to the Programming Insider. Okay, because this is the first time we've got some type of statistics. When we were looking at, what was it, Andor numbers or something like that? Yeah, we also noticed a notable absence of The Last of Us. What would that have been? I think that would have been the golf club episode when we took a look at those numbers. Yeah, because it was the 18th through whatever it was, the 24th or something like that. So yeah, that should have very much been in there, but nobody was watching it, at least on the Luminate numbers, and we're still a little while out from getting any of the Nielsen numbers. But according to Programming Insider, The Last of Us Season 2 premiere drew 938,000 linear viewers in the United States. Okay. But the very next week, only 43,000 fans tuned in, a staggering 31.5% drop, which, yep, the moment that you get introduced to the story of The Last of Us Part 2, you are just hit over the head with how bleak, nihilistic, and identity politics driven this shit is. Because they really did hit the ground running. Episode 3 saw a modest rebound to 768,000 viewers, which, that figure remained 170,000 short of the opening, reflecting, a sustained decline of the audience engagement on the critical front. The Last of Us Rotten Tomato score slid to 49%, down 19 percentage points, which, now it's at, what was it again? I got to pull up those numbers. 47%, so it's down 21%. Another sign viewers are rethinking their commitment absolutely abysmal, but exactly expected, because what the fuck would you get from one of the most divisive games ruining one of the greatest video game stories of all time with one of the most unnecessary sequels and the most hateful sequels that you are likely to ever see? Guess what? You get what you fucking deserve. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.